When travelling around London's transport system, the Oyster pads you normally see are yellow in colour. But what about those pink coloured ones that are dotted around the network? What are they for? Pink Oyster pads are located at 16 stations in London, and they're all outside of the Zone 1 fare zone. That's because if you're a pay-as-you-go Oyster or contactless user, TfL deliberately charge you more if your journey goes into the more busy Zone 1 area, even if your destination is not in Zone 1, but as you pass through it, you get charged a higher fare. But what if you could make a journey that would normally go through Zone 1, but instead you go an alternative way? That's what the Pink Oyster pads are for. If you touch in on one mid-journey, it lets the system know that you've come a different way, avoiding Zone 1, and you'll be charged a cheaper fare for your journey. As an example, if you travel from Earls Court to Wembley Park, the most obvious way to go would be to get the Piccadilly line to Green Park and change there for the Jubilee. But as this goes through Zone 1, you'll be charged £2.80. So instead, if you go west from Earls Court, head up to Rayners Lane and change there whilst touching the Pink Oyster pad, you'll avoid Zone 1 and you'll only be charged £1.50. Here are examples which work for all the Pink readers on the network, where you'll be charged a cheaper fare. And it is worth checking, because bizarrely, there are now a small number of instances where touching a Pink Oyster pad could cost you slightly more. It mainly affects stations that have recently been added to the Oyster network beyond Zone 6. Dartford, for example, has recently joined Zone 8, and if you travel from there to Highbury and Islington, it will cost you £4.10. But yet, if you touch on the Pink Oyster pad when changing at Stratford, you get charged 20 pence more. But in general, the Pink Oyster pads will mean that you'll pay a cheaper fare. And the way to know is to check your journey on the single fare finder page, where you can see how much the journey will cost you by going different ways. It's absolutely worth having a look to find out if your journey could be cheaper.